I've always selected the brain over brawn mentality, mainly because, well, I've always been a lightweight when it comes to muscle. So anytime a vehicle shows up trying to deliver that, well, I have to give pause because I'm just not ready. Hey, welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Robertson. Now behind me is the first ever 2020 BMW X4 M Series, specifically competition. Now, what does all that mean? Well, it's got a lot of bang for your buck. But what I took note of, well, was the sculpting, the classy designs, and, well, eventually that horsepower. The X4 enters the M Series lineup for the first time alongside the X3. Now, the X3 is more of the SAV, the sports activity vehicle version, which is more SUV-like standard silhouette, while the X4 is the sports activity coupe, aka what you see here. Now, having recently driven Mercedes like-minded version, well, I've gotten accustomed to what we see here. Now, some people refer to it as the hunchback of crossovers. I call it, well, a piece of art. The X4 is referred to as a crossover vehicle, though I give pause because when I think crossover, I think about going to the grocery store. When I think about the X4, I think about going to the track. Now, when you look at the overall size of this vehicle, what you're going to find is about 187 inches overall. Wheelbase fairly stretched at 112. Good numbers that tend to yield to the mid-size segment, even though coupe implies something a lot smaller. Now, a nice modest offering is the overall height, around about 67 inches, even with the substantial ground clearance at about 8.1 inches. Other good numbers to think about is width, around about 75 inches wide, at about 10 more inches when you include the mirrors. Grille warfare couples nicely with the profile, and again with this competition model, this aggressive front end is to be expected. Now, it starts with the kidney-shaped grills adorned in the glossy black accent, which of course you see on the lower fascia here on the outer ports, and as you sweep down the side, most notably at the four corners. Now, what I also like is headlights and the aggressive styling. Really nice horizontal. Don't go crazy with the amount of, well, height and, well, presence, but really nice and menacing. Of course, bedazzled, giving you a lot of bejeweling across the headlight assembly and tons of brightness. Even better, adaptive headlights, of course, and really that integrates with even the bright controls, really allowing it to sense when other vehicles are coming. Now, sweeping around the rest of it, what you're going to see is nice airflow here on the outer side. These are actually operational, and really this front end, you could say, engulfs the airflow. Everywhere you look, nice and open, allowing air to breathe through this vehicle. Now, when it comes to aerodynamics, of course, that's going to help, but even right up to the mirrors with that nice sculpting to help, well, minimize and maximize the flow of air around this vehicle. When you look at the X4, it both has nice tight body lines and curvaceousness with just a hint of chisel, not one overpowering the other. And you really see it from this angle. First off, at the front, really nice and tight, really sculpting, kept to a minimum. Even the front haunches barely extend out. But as you sweep down here to the back end, nice pronounced wide haunches here over the back wheels. The cabin really nice and tight, allowing that back end to flare out visually. Now, at the four corners, what you're going to see are standard 20-inch wheels, but here on the competition, steps up to 21-inch, 255 40s in the front, 265 40s in the rear. The hint of chiseling is somewhat subtle, really right through this midline, right through here, down low on that lower fascia. Other than that, pretty much just straightforward, nice soft lines, even though the X4 competition is not straightforward. Now, we talked about the airflow through the front, really sweeping around, even dipping out here under the wheel wells. One thing that kind of fooled me at first is I thought these vents here, these extractors, were operational, really just setting the tone. Those are just for looks. Now, what I like also is ingress into the vehicle. All starts with smart key systems. Now, what's great on the X4 is they take it to the next level. All starts at the door handle. Now, simply press right there, the vehicle locks up with these, and visually you know that because the mirrors tuck in, obviously minimizing the scrapes and dings by, well, softening the overall footprint of this vehicle. Now, to gain access, just take your hand, put it right here, unlocks with these, go right inside. Even better is that's accessible at every entrance. Even better is when you get to the fill-up area, it corresponds with the vehicle. If the vehicle's unlocked, this springs right open. You will find also a cap system versus a capless. Now, when you walk away, you want to lock it all back up. Just simply press right here, the vehicle's secure. The X4 definitely has coupe-like styling, which could imply, well, compromising here in the second row and when it comes to cargo space, but well, that's not the case here on the X4. Now again, looking at styling, what you're going to see is that sweeping effect with the overall profile, meeting a nice spoiler adorned here on the back end, adorning that glossy black accent. As for curvaceousness, you'll see it sweep around here to the edge, but pretty much straight across right after that. Horizontal styling when it comes to the rear taillights, but they do angle up just a hair on the side haunches. Body color pretty much all the way around this vehicle. Nice modest offering when it comes to the BMW emblem, and competition of course emblazoned here at the back rear. Now what you're going to look at when it comes to safety is you have backup camera, front camera, and side cameras as well, giving it a nice 360 view. And of course you do have backup sensors just the same. One also thing to note when it comes to performance, you do have the quad pipes as well. So let's talk about cargo space on this sports activity coupe. Where it starts obviously is gaining access. You do have the button there on your key fob, but naturally this is the quicker option. Pressing the BMW emblem tumbles forward and the hatch lifts up, and as you can tell has nice quick get up out of the way. Also what it has is pretty much great vertical height. Even better is it's really tucked over the vehicle. A lot of hatches, traditional sense when it comes to SUVs, are naturally up over here, but not the case in this coupe because obviously with that fastback like design. Now looking in here, what you're going to see is around about 18.5 cubic feet. That's going to easily give you a lot more when you transform the second row with cargo space. Now there is a nice built-in tonneau covering, kind of a two-piece system with this nice rigid shelf that stays in place and one built in here on the hatch. When this comes down, it creates a nice shelf and a nice solid platform that really prevents looking in to see what lies and all your goodies, especially during the holidays when you're shopping. Now, I talked about crossovers really being a grocery go-getter, and certainly the X4 can deliver, and it does have some nice cargo, nice carpeted lower floor. Wouldn't hurt to put a cargo mat here, mainly to keep this from getting damaged, which you also see is some nice tie downs here that are on these rails that can slide back and forth, as well as outer hooks here on the side, as well as a nice elastic belt over there to keep some items. Number one question was what lies beneath the hood, and some guesses assumed a V8. Just not the case. Instead, a nice twin turboed 3.0 liter inline 6-cylinder. Now for the competition, that means 503 horses. That compared to the standard M series, which is 473. What that means at the end of the day, 0 to 60 numbers around about 4.0 seconds, or just a click slower on the standard model. Now, some of the people that are gearheads say this vehicle could go much faster, 0 to 60, maybe even below 3.5 seconds. The one thing I don't like about coupe styling is, well, the cramped quarters, but the X4 definitely delivers much bigger interior than you expect. Now, where it starts is in the nice sport style seating in the front, really enveloping, but allows any sized individual to squeeze in with ease. What I also like is really the touch of detail right down to the M series logo there on the headrest, and when the vehicle is lit up, so is that. Front seat occupants are going to be spoiled when it comes to overall styling, attention to detail, really with the sculpting, stitching that goes into the front seats, as well as the power controls, lumbar support. But one other feature is the extra thigh support found in this front cushion. Pretty much just pull the handle right here and it's going to slide forward, really giving just nice extension and thigh support for those long trips. Also, what you're going to find are heated and cooled seats for front occupants, only heated seats for backseat drivers. Front and center on the dash will be a huge oversized screen, really houses everything you need to get to. The main screen really looking like this with different quadrants as you sweep across, really everything you need. Obviously, if you want to go in deeper, just simply press it. It's going to go full screen. Now you can set this up to even be split over here, so that way you can have your navigation or other things as well, but I pretty much like the nice full size screen. Now one thing to note, it is kind of an arm stretch away, so the likelihood of you interacting with your hand is probably slim. Instead, you're going to utilize the central knob here between the front occupants. Makes it so easy, basically allowing it to turn, toggle, do whatever you need. Now, if you talk with your hands, one side effect is the motion activated sound. Pretty much means when you're using your hands, you can make the sound go up by making these little things. However, Once you get used to that, you'll realize that if you don't use one finger, but instead talk with more than one, it won't relate. That's one thing I've learned is when you do utilize the motion activated, you do have to use your pointer finger. Otherwise, it won't turn up. No traditional key needed here on the X4, just a nice simple start and stop button. You also do have the deactivate button down below when it comes to the smart technologies on the engine. Basically, when it gets to a stop sign or stoplight, it turns off. You can deactivate that by just simply pressing here. Now down low on the dash, you will find dual zones for front occupants. Nice selector knobs when it comes to temperature, fan speed in the middle. You also do have individualized vent selection for both front occupants as well. So depending on the airflow requirements, you can just simply select it right here on the side. Even lower down between the front occupants, you will find dual cup holders. Nice covering to kind of make it nice and sleek when you're not using it, but once you want to get to it, just simply open right up. What you also find is BMW specific USB that is going into the traditional car outlet. Really allows you to have nice 2 USBs when you need them, or go the traditional old school route if you prefer. Another new school option is right here with the wireless charging. Set your phone, charges right up. For the gauge clutch, you're going to find digital readout both for the implied analog tach and analog looking speedometer, but obviously they're in the digital sense. What you also have is a nice digital readout for the speed, both here on the gauge cluster as well as the heads up display. Now naturally, if you do want to change the driving dynamics, you will see that right across the middle. Right now I've got an efficient, comfort, and comfort steering, but all 3 of those can change by simply utilizing the buttons down here. Now once you change it, what you're going to find is a Sport Plus mode, both for the suspension, driving, and steering wheel. Each of them obviously requiring a lot more input as you move forward from the driver. Now the X4 won't have the standard clutch stance down at the feet, but you do have it here in the sense of the paddle shifters, as well as the next level of shifting here on the M1 and M2 selector knobs. Each of those having a different play when it comes to the RPMs, allowing you to have different shift points. On the steering wheel, you'll find cruise control over here on the left. Obviously, some options not found in this particular model, most notably being the adaptive cruise control, which I would have preferred, even right down to the lane assist, which wasn't found. That would have just made the longer drives a little bit more pleasant. Here on the right side, really for audio select and so on. Even more so, you do have a heated steering wheel, which is right here. Between the center occupants, you will find a nice oversized center console inside, nice and lit up, as well as USB connection as well. When it comes to legroom numbers, you're going to find 40 inches in the front, around about 35 inches in the back, which I find to be kind of the break-even point when it comes to comfort. Really, adults can find decent legroom when you have those numbers. As for overall seating, you're going to have nice standard bench styling in the back, a little bit of individualized attention on the outer points, and again, heated seats for those occupants. In the middle, when there's only 2, you will find a nice elevated center console with dual cup holders. Airflow on any vehicle is a must, and what helps with that on the X4 are these nice vents on the back of the center console. Even better is the tri-zone system, with backseat drivers allowing them to pick their airflow as well as speed and temperature. And that does it for this edition of Reward on a test drive behind the wheel of the 2020 BMW X4 M Series Competition model. Basically meaning it's got a lot of brawn, but also some brain thrown in. Not to mention that it has coupe styling in a crossover segment that still delivers SUV-like qualities, both when it comes to, well, comfort here for 5 and, well, some extra cargo room to boot. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.